What is up, everybody? Fresh Pig Pie here, and today I wanted to talk about the legendary cores and probably what will end up being the fastest way to grind out legendary cores. So, as we know so far from the updates to the PTS, legendary cores are guaranteed to drop from major events like Scorched Earth, Project Paradise if you manage to keep all three of the animals alive, Encrypted, and a Colossal Problem. So a lot of people are probably going to be grinding out those events, maybe not Project Paradise as much, but definitely the others to try and get those legendary cores. They also drop, I believe, for the Elder rank of Daily Ops, so that'll be a good way to get a guaranteed drop of them. But probably what will end up being the fastest method to get those guaranteed drops over and over and over will be the Encrypted event because of how quickly you can complete it. Of course, it does cost some caps, so that may hinder your progress, but other than completing public events, which are also guaranteed drops now, Encrypted will most likely be the speediest way to get those cores that you want. So we're going to go over the event a little bit and just kind of show you how quickly it can be completed successfully if you have sort of the right setup and mindset moving into the event. So let's jump right into that. Okay, so before we go any further and I show you me doing the Encrypted event rather quickly, just a few things to know beforehand. It can get expensive to farm this event, both in caps and in flux. Even though it cost 1 flux, it still cost 1 flux. So if you are not somebody who has a bunch of fluorescent flux, then just know right off the bat this may not be the best farming method for you. And also, if you are somebody who does not have a just bunch of caps to spend, then it may not be the best farming method for you either. Moving on, assuming you do have some fluorescent flux you can blow and caps you can blow, then this may be a method you want to use. Now, what you want to do first is, of course, complete the Wild Appalachia quests that allow you to get to the Sheepsquatch Imposter and then fight it. I'm going to assume most of you have completed that. If you haven't, just look that up if you're super new. Next, you are going to want to get the the Recall keycard circuit board, which you can buy at any vendor in Appalachia whatsoever. The lowest price I was able to get it down to was 1,750 caps. So not the most expensive thing, but kind of pricey, especially if you keep buying them over and over. You will then take that keycard circuit board to any Tinker's Workbench available to you, and you will need stable fluorescent flux, one of them, 3 copper, 2 steel, and 1 rubber to craft a full Assaultron Recall keycard. Now, once you have crafted this Recall keycard, then you will want to head over to Pylon Ambush site, which I'll show you right now on the map, and it's right there in the top right corner where that square is showing you. So once you have traveled to that point, there will be a small cabin. Inside of that small cabin will be a computer. Log into that computer and you will be able to initiate the recall process. Once you do this, a 10 or 9 minute timer will start, and at this point this allows the other players to show up. So you can do one of two things. You can wait for some other players to actually show up in case you need the help, or if you think you can manage to solo the event, you can go ahead and start the process. After a few minutes, you can basically wait as long as you want, but usually I start it after a few minutes, whether someone has showed up or not, because even while I am doing the event, someone usually does show up. Now, I imagine that I can do this solo with my build if I bring a vampire's weapon, but I do still prefer to do it with other people there just because it makes my life a little easier to have help. So if you are a solo player and don't have friends you can do this event with regularly, don't freak out. Just try to see if you can get anyone to show up during that waiting period before you actually call the boss over to the battle area. And if they show up, great. You don't necessarily need them to help out too much, just really there as either cannon fodder or extra damage against the boss if you need help from that. Hell, they may even be a competent player and take a pylon or 2 or 3, and then you can just kill the boss, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So here I am at the the encrypted event. I have already initiated the recall, but I have to actually go back to the terminal one more time to finalize the recall to get the boss to come over, and that will officially start the event. So you can see I have a pretty big timer. I could wait for as many people as needed to show up. This is actually the only guy that shows up to the event, and honestly, it is all I need. As you can see, those blinking rods there just off in the distance a little bit, those are the pylons. You need to make sure one player has activated all 3 pylons, or 3 players have activated 1 pylon each, or 1 player has activated 2 and another player has activated 1, whichever combination you want to do it. The important part is that all 3 pylons are activated. One thing to note though is if you do choose to activate a pylon, you will begin to lose health. You lose more health more quickly if you are the one who is activating all 3 pylons on your own. Keep that in mind if you didn't know that already. So I eventually decided to just go ahead and start this, and me and this guy are able to complete this event rather quickly with very little effort overall, I'd say. And if you want, you can bring a vampire's weapon. It will definitely help you. If you want, you can bring a full set of troubleshooter's armor for some defensive capability if you're not running power armor, or you can bring a troubleshooter's weapon if you don't feel like the weapon you normally use will be enough to kill the sheep squatch when its shields go down. And what I mean by that is when the sheep squatch imposter shows up, it will be invisible, as you'll see here in just a few seconds. And while it is invisible, it is invincible. So keep that in mind. You can deal some damage to it, but it'll just heal up immediately, and you won't be able to kill it until you activate all 3 of the pylons. So the only other thing really to note about the event is that an endless wave of robots will show up to also try and kill you. They will just keep coming. Honestly, I would not worry about trying to farm them for XP. You don't get much. I would just ignore them to the best of your ability. Do your best to stay alive, and if you are the person that plans on taking all 3 pylons, make sure you have a plan for that. In this case, I'm a bloodied build, so taking on 1 pylon by itself is enough to kill me pretty quickly. Taking on all 3, I will die in just a few seconds, even with spamming stim packs. So what I did to counter this was swallowed my pride and used rataways to get rid of my radiation damage. And as you can see here, I took advantage of my electric absorption legendary perk to let the sheep squatch heal my missing HP, but I'm also using a few of my stim packs to keep my HP up. And once I removed enough rads and felt comfortable, then I began to take the pylons by myself. And so you'll see here in a second, it does drain my HP pretty quickly, but it is not enough to kill me instantly. And so we are able to defeat the sheep squatch rather quickly. So this is just 2 people doing this event with some general knowledge and playing a bit smarter, a bit more cautious, and using our heads. So that was my second pylon. You can see my HP bar starting to drain a little bit faster, and then I take the third, and now it's really draining. So every few seconds I am using a stim pack. The sheep squatch is now vulnerable, and I pull out the Gauss minigun, lay into it, the other guy lays into it, and we kill it. That took just a few minutes to complete. So you can see how if you have the resources available, this will be a great event to quickly farm some legendary cores. Again, if you do not have an abundance of the fluorescent flux and an abundance of caps, this is just simply not something you're going to want to do. But if you see other people activating the event, definitely show up and try and make sure you get a successful completion, because it will guarantee those legendary core drops that everybody will be after. Also keep in mind, if you do manage to take down the sheep squatch, its body will explode after death, for just a little bit after death. So pay attention to where it goes so you can loot the body if you want the rewards from the body. That being said, guys, that's really what I wanted to show you, was how quick and easy the event can actually be. I've seen players say, oh, I can solo it, I use this setup, or oh, that event is just too difficult and too challenging and no one ever shows up to help. Well, that's me showing you that one person showed up to help and we managed to do it in just a few minutes. Granted, I have a very powerful build. I imagine they did too. We're both pretty high level. We have an abundance of resources that make us, capable of doing an event like that rather quickly. So the main takeaway is that this method won't be for everybody. This will just be for more than likely the veteran players who have a good amount of flux, a good amount of caps. If you're a solo player, like I said before, it'll be a little more challenging to get done unless you know that you can solo it. But if you don't mind waiting just a few minutes before you actually activate the event, you should be able to get at least one or two other players to help you out in the event, and hopefully they're competent enough that you can all get a successful completion. If you're somebody who plays with friends and you guys don't regularly farm this event, well, maybe you want to consider farming it now with a new update if you are wanting to craft things like a new set of legendary power armor, or maybe you've been after certain weapons, anything you really want to use the legendary crafting system for. So that's going to kind of do it for today's video, guys. I really just wanted to let you guys know that this will be a fast farming method, not necessarily the most efficient farming method, but definitely one of the fastest, if not the fastest way to farm out those legendary cores if you're willing to shell out some flux and some caps. And yeah, I think that's gonna about do it for this one. So let me know in the comment section below, guys, what you are thinking, in terms of how you plan on grinding out legendary cores, if you even plan on grinding out legendary cores. Do you think there will be a faster method that I didn't mention here, or do you think there will be a more efficient method? Personally, I think the Scorch Beast Queen, the Scorched Earth event, will be a bit more efficient because it won't really cost you as much. It's just a bit more time consuming having to do those silo runs, but the Queen can actually be killed pretty quickly. And then, of course, guaranteed drops from Elder Rank Daily Ops, from Colossal Problem, and all public events as of right now in the PTS. So, yeah, post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Is this method stupid? Do you think you might be interested in using it? Or what method do you plan on using to grind out those legendary cores? If you enjoyed the video, guys, please press that thumbs up button. It does mean a lot to me. I really appreciate it. If you are not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate that as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, and I'll see you next time.